I stared at her phone on the kitchen counter. The message preview flickered like a warning I didn't want to see. She didn't notice me watching. She never did. "I absolutely won't cut ties with him," she said, laughing dismissively, "just because you asked me to." I smiled, calm, neutral. "Deal, that's fair. Fair." The word tasted like metal in my mouth, like a challenge, like a wound wrapped in velvet. I nodded as she moved past me, unaware that my mind had already mapped the next week, the next day, the next hour. She thought this was harmless. I knew better. It started with little things. A laugh that lingered too long at a name she never spoke aloud. A smile at a memory I wasn't part of. The casual brushing off of questions I didn't ask. Like the truth would come to me gently, if it came at all. I caught myself counting the pauses, the hesitations. How often her eyes darted, avoiding mine, and how her hand trembled ever so slightly when she thought I wasn't looking. I stayed calm. Too calm. People often mistake calm for weakness. I had learned that lesson early. I let the storm brew silently inside me while I observed. Carefully, strategically. The friend was obvious. She had always laughed too loudly when I entered the room, lingered when our paths crossed, flirted openly in ways I ignored. At first, I told myself it was nothing. But now, it felt like a beacon. A key waiting to be turned. I began to watch. Small habits, phone usage, odd timing of calls. I traced patterns like a detective studying a crime scene that only I knew existed. Nothing overt, just glimpses, hints, the invisible threads of deception she thought were hidden. A name, a number, a message, each one a whisper in the dark, each one feeding the quiet fire I kept smoldering beneath my exterior. I smiled at her joke later that evening. Nothing betrayed me, but inside, every calculation was precise. I was already 3 steps ahead, planning a path that would leave her exposed. The plan formed slowly, like ice creeping over a lake. Cold, relentless. I didn't need to confront her yet. Not until every piece was in place. By the time I walked out of the house that night, I knew exactly what I had to do. It wasn't anger. It wasn't revenge in the messy, obvious sense. It was control. A quiet reclamation of power she never realized she had surrendered. And the next step would be perfect. I called her friend that night, calmly, casually. She answered with a laugh that I had memorized over the years. I didn't apologize. I didn't explain. I simply said, "Dinner?" She understood immediately. There was a thrill in her voice, a dangerous excitement that matched my own. I let her in. By the end of the week, it was obvious. Too obvious. I had expected subtle reactions, hesitation, maybe guilt. Instead, the house became a stage for silent revelations. Her laughter carried differently now. Nervous, brittle, aware that something had shifted. I held the phone in my hand that Saturday morning, pretending to scroll. But I wasn't scrolling. I was reading. Messages she had meant to hide. Conversations she thought were private. Evidence neatly laid out by her own carelessness. I printed everything. Each word, each image, each digital footprint of betrayal. Cold, factual, undeniable. No accusations, no emotion, just truth. When she came home, she sensed it immediately. The change in air, the weight of quiet. I didn't speak at first. I only watched. And she realized I had discovered everything. I set the printouts on the table, laid them out one by one. Her eyes widened, her hands trembled. "I see you haven't cut ties," I said softly. Her voice faltered. I didn't let her finish. I didn't need to. I watched as panic replaced the arrogance she had worn like armor for months. She tried to smile, tried to reason, but the words were brittle. I stayed calm. Ice-cold calm. The storm inside me didn't need to speak. It was obvious in every deliberate movement. I dealt fairly, I continued, and so did you. But fairness has consequences. Her lips quivered. She wanted tears from me, wanted anger, begged for a scene. She got nothing. Only silence. Only the truth laid bare. I walked past her, heading toward the door. She followed, desperate. "You can't just—" she started. I didn't turn. I didn't look back. I let her words hang in the air, meaningless. Outside, the air was cold, crisp, clear. For the first time in months, I felt it. The absence of manipulation, of lies, of the carefully constructed cage she had built around me. I smiled faintly. Not at her, not at anyone. At myself. Calculated, detached. Victorious in the only way that mattered. Psychologically, internally, irreversibly. She would remember this moment forever. I would remember it too. But differently. I had reclaimed myself. She had lost everything that mattered. I closed the door behind me. Quiet. Final. And just like that, I was free.